So I posted something on Twitter that upset a whole heap of people, not for the first time. I went back and posted something else to clarify what I'd said before, upset more people. So rather than continuing to go back and forth on Twitter or X, which is a space I don't really think does well with nuanced discussions and layered issues, I say, you know something, let me just make a video, try to explain myself in the video and see if that helps. And of course, you can tell me what you think in the comments. So here's what happened. Hurricane Beryl, a Category 4 hurricane, is affecting Jamaica. Monster of a storm, affecting some areas very badly. And in fact, we tragically had 2 deaths during Beryl. One of those deaths was a young man who was out playing football with friends. Ball went into a gully. He went in after the ball and was immediately swept away. So it's a really tragic situation, you know? So when I tweeted this, it's a lot easier to talk about staying in when you live in a comfortable home. A lot of people apparently thought I was speaking specifically about that particular incident. And, you know, that was part of it, but it was really a wider point because it was a discussion that had been going on for a while. There's a curfew in place. Why are people breaking curfew? Why don't they stay home? And I find a lot of people sometimes, you know, they don't read well, they don't listen well, and they have trouble separating issues. So my post was taken to mean that I was condoning the behavior of people who are breaking curfew and out there, getting themselves into trouble or possibly getting other people into trouble. So I got responses like this one. This is a reckless and irresponsible statement given the gravity of what we're facing. Then I got this one. This is foolish talk. Every room in my house leaking. So that means me if you go outside, every hurricane warning tell you to stay inside to avoid flying debris. It's just a few hours. We can't do that. No, sir. And then this one. Would it be better to roam about in a Category 4 storm because house is not comfortable? Wow. Okay. Where did I say that I was suggesting people should be roaming around in a Category 4 hurricane? So I tried again. So let me try clarify it. So this is what I posted the second time. I said, perhaps try to appreciate that trying to understand somebody else's reality doesn't mean you condone their decisions that you disagree with. That never helped because I got comments like this one. Dionne, you have lost me. It's a hurricane. We're in a curfew. It may not be comfortable, but it was for a day. Then I got this one. 900 comfortable shelters island-wide, and we seek refuge in running, partying, and playing games outside. I was wondering if that person had actually stayed in a hurricane shelter in Jamaica, why they were able to say so definitively that we have 900 comfortable shelters, but maybe they have. In any case, that's a red herring. Let me not drag it any further. And to be fair, I did get some responses from some people who seemed to understand what I was trying to say. So one person said this. Everyone blew up what she said out of context. I agree with her. Some people have very uncomfortable living conditions. Somebody else said 100. And then I got this comment as well. Great point, Dionne. Some people are more at peace outside on the road, being away from the torment, frustration, headache, stress, and mayhem that may be happening at home. But I also got this, Bleeding Heart 101. And then somebody else said this, rubbish, absolute nonsense, and tissue of lies. Liar them I call me now. Now bear in mind, those two people, the one who called me a bleeding heart and the one who called me a liar, what they are reacting to is a post in which I said, let's try to understand the decisions people make, even though we disagree with those decisions, because apparently trying to understand somebody's position makes you a bleeding heart. You know something? If that's no one call me, so it go. I have to say, I generally take the position that I try to understand where other people are coming from. I find a lot of Jamaicans to be very judgmental and harsh, you know, and so for instance, it's a conversation we're having as well during COVID. got a whole heap of cussing for it as well, because again, all I was trying to say is that when you're told to shelter in place, the phrase I used to use, for instance, in the US, or as we say in Jamaica, tana your yard, that your reaction to that instruction or that order or that law, if it's a law, is likely to be very different if it is you're in a situation where going shop in the evening depends on how much you sell on the road in the morning, compared to a white-collar worker in a comfortable home who can work remotely and still earn full pay. I didn't think that was so hard to understand. In this particular case, all I was saying is that when you're told to stay home, yes, even for just a day can feel very long if you live in an uncomfortable, cramped, overcrowded space, as opposed to if you live in a 2 or 3 bedroom house that is much more comfortable. That's all I was trying to say. And I find, as I talk about judgmental attitudes, I find that a lot of middle-class Jamaicans in particular take very strong, harsh positions through or from a position of privilege. So am I privileged? Absolutely, right? And that's one of the reasons I try to be very cautious in taking positions on certain issues, because one thing I know as a fact is that if you live a life of privilege in Jamaica, your experience of Jamaica is completely different from someone who does not live a life of privilege in Jamaica. You have two completely different realities. Me now argue the one day. That is a fact. And I just don't find that those kinds of really self-righteous, using that word, judgmental, harsh positions really help to advance the kind of national conversations we need to have, and the kind of discussions and consensus that we need to come to solve a lot of the problems facing us. I don't find that those positions create an environment in which we move forward together. So are there people who are just recalcitrant? They're just lawbreakers for the sake of being lawbreakers. They can't be helped. I'm sure there are. But what I'm also sure of is that when you respond to something and you immediately jump to a position, you immediately rush to judgment, you don't know if the person you are condemning is in fact one of those hopeless lawbreakers, or is somebody who has a reason for doing what they're doing, whether you agree with the position or not. And it has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're supporting law and order or not. It just has to do with trying to understand our society and understand the people in our society a little bit more. So all I'm suggesting is that we just take the discussions down a notch. I find the discussions can get very heated. I find they also can get very hysterical. And I'm just suggesting that we take that kind of tone out of the discussion, and we just try to understand people a little bit more. I've said that a number of times because that's what I think. That's what I think would help. I think it creates an entirely different kind of atmosphere and an entirely different type of society. So, believe it or not, I can believe that a curfew is needed. I can support law and order. I can believe that people should stay home during a hurricane, both for their own safety and the safety of the public generally. I can believe all those things while I'm trying to understand why somebody would not want to stay at home during a hurricane. I can do those two things or more than two things at the same time. Can you?